Hi, Misha here, and this is going to be kind of a tag team episode. I'm going to get us started, and then Jay's going to take us to the range and show you a few things you can do with this and how to do them and give his own thoughts. What we have here today is essentially a barreled action, although really it's all complete except for the furniture and of course the hardware to attach the furniture. This is made in Romania by Cugir and imported into the USA by M10 Incorporated. This is 100% Romanian. And kind of ready to customize as you wish. For those of you who wonder how sometimes import guns come in, this is how the M+N M10 and the Century Arms RH10 come in. This is how they look. At first I thought these were old stock being sold off by distributors like Centerfire, but actually no. If you look here, it has a 2019 training date, so these are very current imports. In fact, they're newer than the Wassers I've been receiving. The Wassers are still 2018. All serials match, all parts are new. So what does this assembly get you, and what can you do with it? Well, let's start with the barrel. You get a 16-inch chrome-lined cold hammer forged barrel. It is 7.62 by 39. It is threaded on the end, 1/2 by 24 with a muzzle nut. It has a tiny light tack weld on the bottom, very easy to machine off, and then you can screw on whatever you want. Just keep in mind there isn't a detent out here, so you'll need a crush washer or something to provide friction. Moving back, we don't have a traditional front sight base here. Instead, we have the combination front sight gas block unit like you would see on a Draco or those short-lived Romanian paratroopers that Century had. I like this assembly. It's pretty neat. It means you can either leave it like this, kind of a Galil look, or you could cut the barrel down to 12 inches, or I think what Jay might be planning to do, cut it down to maybe 13 or 14 inches and permanently attach a neat looking muzzle device flash hider. But if you don't want to deal with that, you already have a threaded barrel. There is no cleaning rod under it, but it has the same facilities to take one like a Draco. There's a hole in the handguard retainer and the retaining mount under the base. I have not measured the gas tube to see if it's standard length or not. It looks to be, but I could be wrong. But I can tell you a standard upper and lower handguard will fit. And Jay will show you how to get those on in just a minute. We have a front sling mount here. We have a Romanian standard AKM type 1.0 stamped receiver. We do have the XY stamps. We also have a standard scope rail. No, there isn't dimples, but one nice thing, they have opened up the mag well for you. So this is already good to go for taking standard magazines, even drums. It has the standard trigger guard. It comes with the Romanian trigger group. It has the hole for a pistol grip already ready to go. standard dust cover, ribbed on top. And we have a standard AKM single tang rear trunnion. This will take a fixed stock or a side folder. Again, Jay will demonstrate in a moment. And one little flair this has, it comes with the RPK style of rear sight, which is elevation and windage adjustable. Usually you just get elevation adjustment on these, but this gives you both. It's a nice little bonus, and if you really don't want this, it's very easy to remove AK rear sights. So, you're not committed at all. But I'd keep it, it's nice to have. Flip it back over. This has all the internals. We've got a complete bolt group, which is serial matched to our trunnion, properly head spaced, all that good stuff. We have a standard Kalashnikov safety / dust cover. And finally, we have the recoil spring, all ready to go. And like I said, we have a complete working trigger group in here. This has a nice phosphate finish. These come in pretty well oiled up. And they're pretty inexpensive right now, $600 or less. So about $100 cheaper than a washer, which the washer comes with kind of iffy furniture anyway. This way you can just kind of put on what you want. It's like those Colt OEMs that they did a while back for the LE6920, the LE6920 OEM. So you can put what you want. And it has a few upgrades over the washer, like the rear sight. And I would consider the front sight base combo an upgrade. It's certainly different and gives you a few more options if you want an SPR. So yeah, not a whole lot new in the AK world, and this is something that cropped up. The M10 has been around for a while, but they just more or less recently started selling these do-it-yourself actions. So with that, we would throw a couple of different furniture types on it and take one to the range and see how she runs. So without further rambling from me, I'm going to sign off for today. Hope you guys are having a good one. I'll catch you soon next time. I'm going to hand you over to Jay. Here he is.
Hey everybody, it's Jay. So today we're taking a look at this M+M M10. This is the barreled action that Misha was just talking about. I've just finished putting the furniture on the gun, cutting the barrel nut off that I used a thin cutting wheel for the Dremel, and adding a short PKM flash hider. I have a Romanian G furniture set, as well as a Romanian side folding stock. The furniture set came from Apex. The side folding stock came from Lee's Magazines, I think. And then this is an X-Tech US made steel reinforced magazine with the bolt hold open follower. So have not shot this at all yet. Normally I would shoot the gun before I made any modifications, but with this being a barreled action with no furniture, I had to add the furniture before I could really get it in a test fireable state. So anyway, haven't done anything to this other than grease the rails, the changes that I mentioned, grease the rails, and swab through the barrel. So we're going to go ahead and test fire it and see how it works. Okay, this is the last shot. I'm just going to try to bump fire it, but can't really do that very well with one round. So 100% reliable on the first 20 rounds. This is a Cugirian AK, so I don't expect that there will be much in the way of, long-term durability issues or failures. So this is just, again, just a quick test fire just to make sure everything was functioning properly. I'll show you what I did to get this furniture to fit, as well as do a quick run through on the swapping out the trigger group. The only thing I don't have is cutting the muzzle nut off. But again, it was just a Dremel wheel, thin Dremel wheel, and zip that right off. For most of you, it'll probably be old hat, and if you already know how to do all that, I encourage you to go ahead and end the video now, because it'll probably be very obvious, if not painful to watch. It's my first time trying to do a project like that on camera. But for everybody else, stick around, and hopefully it will be helpful to you, and see what you need to do to get one of these barreled actions running. Once that is over, we'll cut back over here, and I'll say goodbye to you, and we'll go ahead and get over to the installation part of this right now. So the first thing we're going to do is add the furniture to this barreled action. I'm going back in with the Romanian furniture and some compliance parts. Apologies for never done something like this on camera before, so that's what she said. Get the folding stock on, line the screws up. These are not necessarily original screws, but they are the right size. And then once those are lined up, we'll get them tightened down. Alright, so the stock is now secured down, and we have very good, very solid lockup with very little play. And next we will put on the pistol grip. Alright, we've got our fresh from the bag from Apex, our Romie-G Romanian guard pistol grip, as well as a grip nut and screw. Now this barreled action did not come with a grip nut and screw, and the furniture did not come with a grip nut and screw, so you'll have to make sure that you have one of those separate. And then of course whatever stock you select for it. Again, this furniture set didn't come with any hardware, so you'll have to secure some tang screws. So we're going to go ahead and drop this pistol grip in. You want to make sure you have it angled the right way to where the pistol grip nut will sweep backwards, and just get it lined up. You can see there it sweeps backwards. Hopefully that was all. I was looking at it, not looking at the camera feed, so hopefully that was all lined up. And actually this kit is pretty, I just pulled this out of the bag, it's pretty filthy. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe it down with an alcohol pad, and then finish putting that on. Okay, so I just finished wiping that down with an alcohol pad. I just used a Zeiss lens cleaning wipe that I use for my glasses, just to kind of get some of the gunk off. That's mainly the stuff that's just going to be sitting flush against the metal. I didn't worry too much about the interior of it. But we've got the nut, and I keep bumping the tripod, sorry about that. The nut secured. I'll secure it, the pistol grip, against the bottom of the receiver. And then the nut should pretty well drop pretty close to the pistol grip nut. I'm sorry, the screw should drop pretty close to the nut. So we've got that lined up. I kind of just double checked it visually to line it up, and just to make sure, kind of tug on it a little bit. Sorry. And you see it's not going anywhere. So pretty fast and easy. And we'll finish tightening that down and move on to the trigger. Pistol grip is on. Now we'll move to the trigger group. I'm going to go ahead and release the tension on the hammer and let it ease forward. Then rotate. Hang on, let's get that stock out of the way, be able to be easier. Rotate the selector up. Remove it. Now we'll have to pull these arms up. For this part, I like to use a pair of needle nose pliers to grab those arms and bring them up over the hammer. And if you can catch it just right, you can kind of lock them over each other. Now what those things like to do is snap back on your fingers when you're working on the rest of the group. And so my suggestion for ease of removal is just to tie it off with something. Wire ties are good for this, paper clips. I usually would typically keep a little leather strap handy. Okay, so next up we're going to remove the pins for the trigger group. So we'll need to remove the retainer first, and then once we get that retainer out, it's this little clip in here, then we will be able to basically just push those pins out. I'm going to go back in with a retaining plate. I don't like putting these paper clips, messing with these paper clips, so let's get that retainer out of there first. Now there's a few different ways to do it, and none are, there are probably some better ways, but typically what I try to do is just kind of push that out of the way, just like that. There's still going to be some tension on this pin, but it'll move. It'll actually move now, mainly. Okay, so we've got this worked out. One thing you want to be careful of is that little spring can push that gap up into the receiver and the stamping, so you may have to put some counter pressure on that pin to get it to work out. I've had them just slide right out, and I've had, like on this one, I had to actually be holding the pin down to get it out. So there's your first pin. So you should now be able to just move this pin, or the rest of this clip, down and away from this pin to get it, this other pin, loose on the hammer there. Okay, I got it kind of pushed out enough to be able to get a grip on it with my pliers, and now it's just going to pop right out. So it figures that I've done dozens of AK trigger groups, and obviously it figures that the very first one I try to do on camera ends up being a little bit of a struggle. So that pin just slides right out. Well, the hammer can come loose. Hopefully the rubber band will hold okay, and it did. And we'll need that. Sorry about that. We'll need that. We'll need this spring for the new group that's going back in. I'm going back in with an ALG AKT that I had laying around, and we'll drop that in and see how she goes there. Go ahead and show this part on camera. We're going to go ahead and hold this tension, the spring tension, against the hammer, because it's going to try to fling off and stick us, or stick me, because I'm the one doing this. I'm just going to kind of drop this over here to get that spring tension off, so I don't end up getting my fingers, my delicate little office fingers, stuck against those mean sharp little points. So yeah, so we've got our parts ready to go back in on the ALG. Okay, so we've got the ALG hammer and the original spring. This group, again, was one I had laying around. I didn't have any extra parts with it, so I'm just reusing what was in there. Now, the trick on this is to keep spring tension, or keep that tension on hard and tight around that hammer, because it's going to want to try and, again, just pop out on you. But if you can get it into the receiver, the receiver will help you keep some of that tension on. Now next, again, those arms are going to want to try to pop off, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it back up to keep it from popping out on me. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and drop the retaining plate in. First time doing this on camera again, so I've actually changed out a lot of these, but there we go. Okay, so now that pin is in, this is going to let us clip Okay, that's going to let us clip this retaining plate into the little groove that you saw earlier. And typically what I do is just kind of work it in to get that spring moved out of the way. And that should be on. It's on. Okay, perfect. So now we're just going to line up the hole on the rear of the retaining plate there with the selector once we get our trigger assembly in. So we've got our hammer dropped in, and I've lowered the disconnector and spring down onto the hammer. And now what I'm going to try to do is get that lined up in the hole there and just push the pin through. Okay, second try, pushed right in. Basically what you're going to need to do is push the disconnector down against the spring tension into the hammer, or into the trigger, and then line up that pin and then push it through. And you can see it just kind of just clicked right in. So now that should flex there. It does. Now what we're going to do is lower the retaining plate down onto that. That will lock that pin in. Then we're going to go back in with the safety and make sure it lines up with the hole on the other side right there. Lower the safety down. We want to check function once we untie our little spring trap here. Okay, and again I have very delicate little fingies, so I'm going to use my needle nose pliers to just drop that back in. You want to make sure that they go over the arms there of the trigger group, which they do. That makes what makes it return. We're going to check function. Okay. Good. Much better trigger than what was in there before. We want to check safety function. Some of these ALGs you have to add a roll pin, which this one already had, to make sure it engages with the shelf on the safety. It appears to. Yep, and we're all good. So trigger is in. I'm going to add a little bit of grease to the contact points, effectively underneath this hook here, underneath this hook here, and on the arm here. And we will have a much better trigger. So there is the trigger group. Now let's move on to the hand guards, upper and lower. We'll start with the lower. Sometimes these have to be fitted. And I'm going to go ahead and, again, alcohol wipe that just to get the dirt out from the parts that are going to be contacting the metal surfaces. And again, I'm sure that there's better ways to clean this off, but I don't particularly care about that. I'm just trying to get the wood, some of the dirt off. Nothing I do to this is going to be worse than what it's already gone through in military service. So just going to get some of the worst of the dirt out of it. Oh, this is just shelf dirt. And that's looking a lot better. Still some dirt in here. Again, don't care. Care a little bit. Don't care that much. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and drop this in, or attempt to drop this in. And if this is used enough, well used enough, then it's just going to pop right in. If that doesn't work, then I'll have to lightly sand it down. Okay, so the hand guards are on. Basically what I had to do is I used a small file to take a little bit of material off of the top piece of wood here, and on the sides, didn't have to touch the bottom. It seemed to fit right in. And then I, just put some pressure on it with the butt against the floor and was able to kind of press fit it. And then did the same thing with the up here. Actually fit, the retainer fit pretty well. So I tapped it down with the rubber mallet and then used a pair of pliers to rotate this little retainer on. It's very snug, very tight, no play whatsoever, which I like. So we will move on to the upper handguard now. Alright, so some people are really good at just rotating the upper handguard on by hand. Depending on the fitment, you may not be able to do that. So my preference is to mount it in a vise using the flat parts here to hold it in place. And you're going to have to get it very snug to hold against the rotation there. So basically what I'm going to do is, and I mentioned that these furniture sets had no hardware, so I had to get separately this handguard retainer. But what I'm going to do is mount it in. It does taper, so you want the taper to the front. Mount it in there. I'll rotate it as much as I can by hand, and if that doesn't work, I'll put the strap wrench on it and twist it around. Alright, I was able to get it on most of the way by hand, but we're going to use the strap wrench to just line it up the rest of the way. Good news is that doesn't really do any kind of damage to the wood there. So some people are able to preternaturally get the upper handguard on by hand. I am not one of those people, so I like the strap wrench method. So we're just going to go ahead and drop the upper handguard on. Clean some of the rubber off from the vise pad. And that is now locked on. And we're in pretty good shape. So there's the wood, the stock on. The only thing left to do now is to remove this muzzle nut. I tried breaking it off earlier and was not able to get it to break off, so I'm going to have to grind it off, and I'm just going to use a little Dremel tool to do that, which again I'm going to do off camera because don't really have a good setup for showing that. But anyway, so that is the configuration that you saw me shooting with the exception of that. Pretty simple, straightforward procedure. We have a much better trigger in it now. Obviously we have the Romanian side folder, the Donkey Dong grip. So here is the final product, but I figured since I ended up using the folding stock, it might be a good idea to show you the final result, with a sort of mock-up of what it would look like with the fixed stock on there. That's probably a pretty good representation. So yeah, so if you decided you didn't want a folder and wanted a fixed stock, that's kind of an idea of what it would look like. But yeah, we'll get back over to the range. Just a little quick under 10-minute video on what I did to put everything on there. Like I said, hopefully that was helpful for you. If you like this type of content, be sure to check out our backlog and subscribe to make sure you get updates whenever we post a new video. If you have any questions, be sure to post them in the comments below. If you're interested in contributing to our Patreon, check the link in the description below as well. And be sure to like the video and let us know what you think. So, this is Jay, and I will catch you again next time.